The following is a live special presentation of Retro Sports Network, home of the champions of the past, present, and or future. Good evening, everybody, or good morning, or good afternoon. My name is Ron Chuckett. Welcome to the program for this 8th day of January, 2026, because I know how to write my names on or put data check. Today or tonight, we paid tribute to Hockey Hall of Famer Glenn Hall, who played in get this, as a goalie without a face mask 556 consecutive games for both, well, not both, for, you know what I mean here, for the Detroit Red Wings and the Chicago Blackhawks. In fact, when his streak was finally broken in 1962-63 season with the Blackhawks, he still played 66 of the 70 games. That comes out to the equivalent of almost 8 years of never taking a day off from the ice. So we go back to 1960-61, which is the Hawks Stanley Cup championship year. And ironically, on opening night, they played the Detroit Red Wings, who he played for a number of years. He would be primarily known as a member of the Chicago Blackhawks before going in the expansion draft of the St. Louis Blues and getting into another Stanley Cup final. All that without a face mask. So return with us back to October 1960. It's the Chicago Blackhawks and the Detroit Red Wings. It's Gordie Howe. It's Stan Mikita. It's Bobby Hull. It's a tribute to Glenn Hall tonight on Retro Sports Network. As Retro Sports Network presents a tribute to Glenn Hall, tonight's game from the Chicago Stadium in Chicago, Illinois, is brought to you by DigitalDice.com, the best darn podcast on the web for your sports simulation and replay needs. Find us today on Spotify, Spreaker, iTunes, or wherever else fine podcasts are listed. Well, I think we got all the pregame kinks worked out here. It'll be Billy Hay at center for the Hawks, Stan Mikita and Bobby Hull on the wings, Vasco and Pierre Palat are the defensemen with Hall in the net. We aren't kidding. 70 games, 29, 24, and 17 record. He's 29 years old in this particular year with 6 shutouts. He made a save percentage of .920, which is remarkable. 2,020 saves. Moose Vasco is the other defender, along with Pierre Palat. For the Red Wings, it's Norm Ullman at center, Alex Delvecchio and Gordie Howe on the wings. Pronovost and Goagan are the defensemen. And Terry Sawchuk, who used to play, I believe was traded for Glenn Hall, in the net for the Red Wings, who has a save percentage of .899. How you doing there, pesky pole? So I'll be doing the Hawks. Computer's doing the Wings. Hay, yep, they're under the goalie limit. Hay and Ullman on the face-off, and it is won by the Red Wings. Delvecchio, stolen by Palat to Hay, and here come the Hawks the first time over. Palat is offside, and we'll have a face-off 35 seconds into it, just outside the Detroit zone. No changes for the Blackhawks. Oliver, McDonald, and Johnson, the forwards now for Detroit. Godfrey, not as Ukulele, and Odorowski, the defenders for the Red Wings. How you doing, Mark, AP, and Barbara? Hope you are doing all well, too. Hay and Oliver on the face-off. Won by Hay over to Mikita. Mikita slaps it on. Sawchuk with the save, and Palat and Odorowski share some greetings. So again, no changes for the Hawks. No changes for the Wings. Chicago to draw it forward. Hay and Mikita and Oliver on the faceoff. Won by Bobby Hull. Hull behind the net. Feeds Palat on the blue line. His wrister. That goes wide of the net. and controlled by the Red Wings. They skated over the line themselves. Godfrey behind the net to Johnson to Oliver. Oliver, first shot is blocked by Palat. Hay has it. Back come the Hawks the other way. Hay, and it'll be offside, and we'll change up the forward lines here. Lund, Aldecorn, and Glover for the Wings with Young and Pronovost. Eric Nestorenko, Kenny Wareham, and Ron Murphy coming on as the forwards. Palat and Vasco will stay on one more run. Do I prefer this? I think it shows better in Strat Hockey, and I don't have the season in Strat Hockey. Warped and Sun for Barb. I'm delighted to hear that. Wareham and Lund on the face-off, won by Chicago. Palat and Young get into it. Pierre was offside. And Detroit let him know. Dallard, St. Laurent, and Evans now the defenders for the Hawks. Wareham and Ullman on the face-off for the Wings. First line out there for Detroit. Face-off won by Wareham over to Murphy. Murphy through traffic. Sawchuk saw that one all the way, and Nestorenko gets called for a rough. So the first power play of the game will go to the Red Wings at 17 with 17:25 to go in the first period. Earl Balfour and Todd Sloan come on the ice, along with Dallard, St. Laurent, and Reggie Fleming on the defense. Strat Hockey is a good game. I play it a lot offline, but this kind of gives you something to see. And Action PC Hockey is a very good game. McDonald and Sloan on the face-off, controlled by the Wings. Glover going to put the first shot on Glenn Hall. Hall with a rebound over to Oliver. Oliver behind the net tries a wraparound on Hall, and Glenn covers it up. St. Laurent and Gauguin go at it because Glenn Hall, he just got absolutely leveled out there. No changes for the Hawks. Ullman, Gordie Howe, and Johnson, the forwards for the Red Wings, with Godfrey and Odorowski. Hawks hope to clear. Ullman and Sloan on the face-off, won by the Wings. Howe slaps one. Hall gives up the rebound. Ullman with the second shot, scores. Hall just had that bounce off the pad, and Norm Ullman, that's not a 25-year-old Norm Ullman, took the rebound and blasted it past. He got with Gordie Howe with the initial shot, and Jerry Odorowski, who's not 22 in that picture either. So Wings go up 1-0 on the power play goal. Scott Johnson, how are you? Thanks for stopping in. First line in for Chicago. London Hay on the face-off, won by the Hawks. Hay puts it all the way down. Detroit comes the other way. Aldecorn turns it over. Bobby B. Hull. Bobby Hull pokes it away. No changes for the Hawks. Palat, blue line, gives it away now to Lund. Passes it back to Pronovost. They try to set it up. Lund on the shot. That's wide right. Palat has it. And Chicago will change up. Nestorenko's line will come on. No changes on the defense. However, they lose it at center. Goagan has it. Over to Glover for the Wings. To Pronovost. Pronovost, a long shot. Nope. To Glover. A high shot on Hall, and Glenn will freeze it up. Makes the catch. 14:35 first period. St. Laurent and Evans coming on the ice to play defense. 70 Rangers replay. That must be hockey. What are you doing at it in Action PC, Mark? Ullman and Wareham on the face-off in the Chicago zone. Won by Detroit. Well, Detroit gets it at center. Delvecchio dump and chase to Evans. And Chicago will change up Sloan, Ab McDonald, and Murray Balfour. Come on for the Hawks. And they'll give it away. Ullman now has it behind the net. And Murray Balfour takes it away. Balfour will take the shot. Will he penetrate or take the shot? He's going to shoot it. Sawchuk doesn't even have to worry about that. That's wide left. And here come the Wings the other way. Delvecchio to Ullman. Ullman shoots. That is blocked by McDonald. Goes all the way down the other end. Detroit resets. Delvecchio is offside. 12:50 to go. First period. 1-0 Wings. They've got a 5-2 shot advantage over the Hawks. So Litzenberger, Reggie Fleming, and Earl Balfour. The forward line for Chicago. Oliver, McDonald, and Johnson for the Wings with Pronovost and Gowagan. 71-72. How far along with you are that? Is that? Litzenberger and Oliver on the face-off. Won by the Hawks. Evans to Litzenberger behind the net. Really doesn't have anyone open to pass to. They'll cycle the puck to Fleming. Fleming tries to feed Litzenberger. He's got a shot. Sawchuk saw that all the way. Leaves it for McDonald behind the net, and the Wings kick it out. They give it away at center to Eddie Balfour. And the Hawks change up. First line for everybody. Makita to Pierre Palat. Palat going to take the shot himself. Sawchuk, that misses wide right. Hall has it behind the net. Doesn't really have anybody open. They'll cycle it around if they can. They do. Makita behind Sawchuk. Tries to feed Billy Hay. Hay with a low shot. Sawchuk saw it all the way. 11:26 to go in the first period. 5-4 now the shots in favor of Detroit. Murphy, Nestorenko, and Wareham on the ice now against Ullman, Odorowski, or Ullman, Delvecchio, and Howe. Playing a couple of Rangers games a week and simming the others. 11 games, Rangers are 6-5. How you doing, Greg? Be tough for you, Greg, because you're a Red Wing fan, but we're honoring the Blackhawk and Red Wing and St. Louis Blue. Wareham and Ullman on the face-off, won by Ullman. Delvecchio over the line to Norm Ullman. He's got the goal, point-blank range. Hall gives up the rebound back to Ullman, second by the Cherry. Delvecchio tips it out of the way. Now Ullman again. He winds and fires. Hall gives up another rebound. This time it's controlled by Nestorenko after Vasco controls it. Hawks change. 10:52 to go in the opening period. Balfour to McDonald. Through traffic, Sawchuk makes a tremendous save. And we'll get a face-off. 10:37 to go. So both goalies have been quite busy. 7-5 the shots in favor of Detroit. Sloan, McDonald, and Balfour against Oliver, McDonald, and Johnson. Glenn Hall, I've lived to be, 94? And again, as we said in the open, he played the equivalent of every game, regular season and playoffs, for the equivalent of 8 seasons. Sloan and Oliver on the face-off, won by Detroit. Young skates in the Chicago zone, loses the puck. McDonald the other way, tries to set up the rush. He'll give it away to McDonald. They go back and forth at center. Johnson. The slapper and Hall made the save. Vasco and Young wish each other a Happy New Year, and we will change up. So Litzenberger and Melnick, who hasn't been on the ice, with Fontaine and one Gordie Howe, Pronovost and Gowagan, the defenders. Yeah, two tremendous goalies in Terry Sawchuk in the. They were traded for each other, right? Sawchuk in the net for Detroit, and Hall in the net for Chicago. Face-off won by Chicago. They chip it all the way down, and Detroit sets it back up. Fontaine, again, a lot of center ice action. Dollard St. Laurent has the puck for the Hawks. Skates it into zone, but Pronovost and Evans have a few words to say to each other, and the face-off will come outside the Red Wings zone with 9 to go. So no changes for the Hawks. Melnick, Fontaine, and Howe on for Detroit with Godfrey and Odorowski. Thank you there, Brent. If they've been playing out the Stanley Cup rings in the 50s, Glenn would have won one as he played some games for the Red Wings during one of their Cup years while subbing for Sawchuk. That's incredible. So he actually made the finals in 3 different teams. He won this particular year, October 5th, 1960 is the date. This is opening day. But this would be the year that Chicago won the Stanley Cup. Melnick and Litzenberger on the face-off, won by Detroit. Howe sends it down, and that will be an icing. So no changes for the Hawks, and no change. You can't change if you're a member of the Red Wings. Litzenberger wins the face-off behind the net. Doesn't like what he sees. They'll play. Oh, gives it away. Trying to do a cycle, and it was stolen by Detroit. Fontaine now skates it over the line the other way to Howe. Gordie Howe shoots. Glenn Hall saw that one all the way with 7:57. Face-off to the left of Glenn Hall. Chicago essentially playing with 4 defensemen, Palat, Vasco, St. Laurent, and Evans. First line on, it'll be Oliver for Chicago, Makita, Hay, and Hall. Oliver, McDonald, and Johnson on the ice for the Red Wings. Face-off won by Detroit. Odorowski, he'll lose the puck. Vasco starts the rush the other way, but that's going to be iced. And they didn't even have to go very far for the face-off. It'll come right back to the left side of Glenn Hall. So Lund and Makita this time around. 7:28 first period. Face-off won by Chicago. Bobby Hull sets it up over the line, but Gauguin stole it. Chicago has it at center. Palat gains the line, loses the puck again. Gauguin over the Detroit line or Chicago line. Lots of gives and goes here, battling at center. Finally, Glover's got it. Hull with the steal. Some tired skaters on the ice, and everyone changes up. Murphy can't start the rush. Howe, Ullman the other way. Norm Ullman, he loses the puck. Goodness gracious, Buffy St. Marie. Evans, can he send it up over to Murphy? Murphy shoots. Sawchuk saves. Nestorenko and Pronovost say hello, and with 4:53 to go, it'll be a face-off to the left of Terry Sawchuk. Let's stick with who we got on the ice. Oliver, McDonald, and Johnson for the Wings. Murphy, Nestorenko, and Wareham for the Hawks. It was 1955. He only played 2 games, but would have gotten a ring, but not have his name on the cup. And then he starts his run that fall. He doesn't miss a game until 1963, which is just incomprehensible as a goalie. Wareham and Oliver on the face-off, won by Chicago. Murphy tries to feather one to Wareham, but Godfrey and Nestorenko get into it. And they tied up, and we'll have another whistle. Fresh skaters for both teams. Ullman, Delvecchio, and Howe for Detroit with Young and Pronovost. Sloan, Balfour, and McDonald, with Fleming now being a defender, and Palat. Sloan and Ullman on the faceoff, won by Sloan. Sloan behind the net. They'll cycle it. No one really there. Over to Fleming, who's a defenseman now, with Pronovost right on him. Fleming will take the shot, and Sawchuk deflects it, can't hold the zone, and Chicago will have to reset. Fleming gives it away, but Ullman is called for the trip. And for the first time tonight, with 3:32 to go in the first period, the Blackhawks will go on the power play. Interesting power play lines. It'll be Bobby Hull, Sloan, and McDonald for the Hawks, with Palat and Vasco. Alcorn and Melnick will be the defenders for Detroit, with Godfrey and Odorowski. Mike Ilitch gifted all the players that had played on the Wings championship teams with rings, so I hope he got one. Can he wear them? Yeah, I mean, old-time hockey is not something I know an awful lot about. And this 80s kid considers this to be old-time hockey. Melnick and Sloan on the face, off to the right of Sawchuk, won by Detroit. Alcorn skates it all the way down before Palat can take it away. Palat to McDonald. They're going to get a shot. Sloan. Heavy one-timer on the ice, blocked by Alcorn to Godfrey, and Detroit clears it all the way down. 1:13 to go, and the penalty to Ullman. Fresh skaters on for Chicago. Balfour. Murray lost it at center. Alcorn clears it all the way down. Dollard St. Laurent will set this one back up. 36 seconds to go in the minor to Ullman. Balfour to Nestorenko. Eric with a shot, blocked by Godfrey. Murphy holds it in the zone. Murray Balfour is open if he can find him. He does. Balfour with a shot. Sawchuk gives up the rebound. Nestorenko has it. 10 seconds to go in the power play. Feeds it out to St. Laurent for a long shot. Dollard shot, blocked by Odorowski, and the power play is over. 9-8, the shots in favor of the Wings, with $1:32 to go on the clock. Everyone changes up. Ullman on the ice. Godfrey carries it over the line, and St. Laurent just slammed him. Slammed McDonald, and Dollard goes into the sin bin with $1:17 to go. And in this era, we're all sharing the same box. No different boxes for teams. So Fleming and Stan Mikita, Palat and Vasco. So this power play, Detroit 1 for 1 tonight, will go through the end of the period, and if they don't score, will be the first 43 seconds of the second period. Yeah, Ullman in that Leafs jersey just looks weird, doesn't it? Wear him retired due to a regular heartbeat at a pretty young age, 32. That's pretty young. Ullman and Mikita on the face-off. It is won by Detroit. Ullman wins it over to Johnson. Back to Ullman. He's already got one tonight. Haw makes the save, but only to Gordie Howe. 58 seconds to go. Passes it out into traffic. Shot blocked by Vasco. Palat's got it. With 53 to go in the period, the Hawks ice it. Pronovost, 39 seconds to go. To Johnson. Over the line. To Ullman. Ullman, point blank. Hall gives up the rebound. Ullman's got it. 21 to go. Passes to Howe. Gordie shoots. Saved by Hall. Ullman's got it. Goagan with a shot. Blocked by Palat. 16 seconds to go. Palat will try and clear it all the way down. Mikita does the trick. That will end the period in 3 seconds. But Pronovost and Palat say hello. But the Zamboni will come out. 45 seconds to go in the minor to St. Laurent. And after 20 minutes here at Chicago Stadium, it's the Red Wings 1, the Blackhawks 0. Chicago Stadium might have been the best American hockey barn between the organ, which was so loud and so pervasive, and the crowd just going absolutely nuts all the time. Nothing against the other 4 original barns, but Chicago is pretty special. Now, I've never saw a game at Olympia. Sid Abel, by the way, is the coach of Detroit. Detroit, the lone goal in the first period came at 3:31 on the power play. Norm Ullman from Gordie Howe and Odorowski. Shots 12-8 in favor of Detroit. Faceoffs 12-9 in favor of Chicago. Time of attack 1:35 for the Hawks and 58 seconds so far for the Red Wings. I'm glad he's still around. So it'll be Fleming and Mikita, the forwards, with Palat and Vasco, the defensemen, Ullman, Howe, and Johnson, the number 1 power play unit for the Red Wings, with Godfrey and Odorowski. Face off, won by Detroit. Ullman on the boards, has a shot, takes the shot. Hall just gloved it, put it down. We get a face off, this time to the left of Glenn Hall, because I know my difference between my lefts and the rights. 23 seconds on the minor to St. Laurent. McDonald, Oliver, and Glover. The computer changes awful quick. Goagan, I think that's how you pronounce that, and Pronovost. McDonald and Mikita on the face-off, won by Detroit. Oliver behind the net tries a wraparound on Hall, and Chicago clears it out. Didn't get the shot. 13 seconds in the minor. Glover, power play's over. They kill it. Oliver with a shot through traffic. Palat with another block. Fleming's got it. And Chicago changes. 19:08 to go in the second period. Bobby Hull. Hull will take the outside shot. He's not going to try to penetrate on Marcel Pronovost. Hull, mid-range shot. Has a chance. Sawchuk kick save in the Butte, but only to Bobby Hull. Chicago will cycle. Hull loses the puck. Here comes Detroit the other way. Oliver into the Hawk zone. Oliver and St. Laurent exchange some snow, and it's going to be matching minors to them both. Murray Oliver got 2. Wow, he only at 8 penalty minutes in 49 games gets a 2-minute unsportsmanlike and a minute 45, and St. Laurent, who only had 58 minutes in 67 real-life games, visits a sin bin again. I wonder what they would talk about when they were sitting there cooling off for those 2 minutes. So matching minors, five-on-five, Wareham and Ullman on the face-off. Thank you. Yep. Rediscover Records. Yep. Rest in peace for sure. 94 is a great run. Ullman and Wareham on the face-off, won by Detroit. Howe, Delvecchio, and Nestorenko and Goagan go at it just outside the zone. That's a fight. That's actually a fight. The gloves finally came off. Pete Goagan and Eric Nestorenko. Nestorenko already has 7 penalty minutes in the game. So now that box gets awful crowded. Again, how do you do that with just one box? Ullman had some bad luck during his career. He spent 12 and a half in Detroit, but didn't arrive until 56 and was traded to Toronto in 68. Just missed on both ends. Oh, my goodness. So 4-on-4, Delvecchio and Howe versus Hull and Mikita. Palat and Evans, the defenders for Chicago. Pronovost and Odorowski and for Detroit. Mikita and Delvecchio in the face-off, won by Detroit. Howe slides it over to Pronovost. Hall covers it up, makes the save. 14-9 in favor of Detroit are the shots. That's exactly what happened, Scott. It was 62-63 on Hockey Night in Canada. Someone from Montreal and Toronto got into it. And when they got sent to the box, they decided that They were not done discussing what their favorite pizza topping was. I can't believe it took until the 60s to figure that one out, though. There actually is a video. Yeah, just great minds think alike. Hull and Makita, with Delvecchio and Howe, the forwards, won by the Hawks, but they ice it. Well, they don't ice it. Pronovost over the line for Detroit. They got room on 4x4 Pronovost with a slapper. Hall clears it out to Palat. Hull, Makita, they're both tired. Who we got? Kenny Wareham will come on the ice to give Makita a breather. Hull skates it over the line to Detroit. Over to Wareham. Scores! That just got past Sawchuk. Kenny Wareham with a goal. 4-on-4, a great pass. Palat gets credit with the pass from Bobby Hull. So Wareham, his first of the year. Palat, his first assist of the year. And 165 penalty minutes, goodness gracious. And Bobby Hull with hair gets his first point of the year. So a 1-1 game. We're still 4 aside for another 17 seconds, I think. No, you didn't just give the Toronto Bay Leafs credit. It's okay. Delvecchio and Wareham on the face-off, won by Detroit. They got a rush. Pronovost from Howe. Hall stands tall. Pronovost scores. Game was tied for about 4 seconds. So Pronovost, Bobby Hull lost the puck. Pronovost and Howe played give and go, and Marcel just put it 5-hole between Hall's legs. And it's 2-1 Detroit. Gordie Howe, a baby at 32 years old, picks up his second assist of the night. Yep. There was 17 seconds between those goals. Still 4-on-4 for another 3:14. Makita and Delvecchio on the face-off. Hull. Can he find it? Yeah, he's got Makita. Stan is tired. He spent a lot of time on the ice. Forehand shot. Sawchuk gives up the rebound to Delvecchio. They clip it around. Howe now. Gordie shoots. Hall's got the save, and we need some fresh skaters for sure. Helps if you hit the right button. So Murphy and Wareham come on the ice for Detroit, or for Toronto, Chicago. Delvecchio and Howe, I'm sure, got tired legs for Detroit. 2:37s left in the majors to Goegan and Nesterenko, and it must be the rules was 4-on-4. What would I say is the tribute game's wins percentage? Low. It's low. Do you know why they changed the power play to allow the defender to leave the? Because Montreal kept scoring. I've got a couple of those older Strat seasons before the rule change, and it catches me off guard because they with those forwards, they'd get 2 or 3 on a power play. So Delvecchio and Wareham on the face-off in the Hawk zone. Odorowski over to Howe. Gordie with a shot that misses everything wide. And they lose it at center. Odorowski to Delvecchio to Pronovost to Howe. Howe's got a low shot on Hall. Glenn makes the save. Rebound controlled by Murphy. 1:42 to go in the matching majors. Murphy to Wareham. Kenny Wareham with the slapper. That misses wide right of Sawchuk. Murphy behind the net. They'll cycle it around. They don't like what they see. Murphy's got it again. Some tired skaters on the ice now. St. Laurent will get the pass. Murphy lost it. Detroit ices it. 13:58 to go. Evans touches up. Moose Vasco comes on the ice along with Pierre Palat. So the Hawks change defenders. Wareham skates it out over to Murphy, and Gordie Howe gets called for the cross-check. You know, for all the talk of a Gordie Howe hat trick, in this particular year, he only had 30 penalty minutes in 64 games. So it'll be 4-on-3 for the next 40 seconds. I'm sure Detroit did with Delvecchio and all those production lines. Ted Lindsay, yeah. Litzenberg and Sloan, 4-on-3. Melnick is the poor lone forward for Detroit with Godfrey and Odorowski. Wareham was actually 35 when he was forced to retire. Melnick and Litzenberg on the face-off. Palat to Litzenberger behind the net. Feeds Palat. Takes the shot, blocked by Odorowski. Back to Palat, but they can't cleat the line. Palat sets up the next rush. Dumps and chase over to Vasco. 29 in the fight majors. And a minute 49 in the power play on the Howe minor. Vasco. Sawchuk gives up the rebound to Palat. Palat sees Litzenberger open. Litzenberger shoots. Sawchuk, good save. Sloan controls it. Sloan's going to try a wraparound on Sawchuk. Sloan shoots. Sawchuk closes the pads. The fighting majors are done. A minute 20 to go in the power play. Five on four now. Odorowski tries to dump it around. They do. Palat touches it. Chicago looks. Litzenberg, Nestorenko, and Hull on the ice. As the Hawks try to tie this one up. Hull over the line to Nestorenko. Eric, a slapper. Sawchuk, rebound. Controlled by Litzenberger. Litzenberger behind the net. Tries to feed Palat down the half wall. Palat loses the puck. 38 seconds to go in the minor. Nestorenko recovers it. Looks for Moose Vasco. Vasco shot blocked by Goagan to Bobby Hull. 15 seconds left in the power play. Hull behind the net to Palat. Palat throws it on the net. That misses wide left to Hull, but they can't hold the zone. 8 seconds to go in the power play. 11:49 in the period. Nestorenko to Hull, and Detroit will have killed his power play. Wow, 4 shots in the power play, and nothing got by. 18-15, the shots in favor of the Red Wings. So St. Laurent and Fleming, the defenseman. A lot of tired legs out there. Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, you hear about the Gordie Howe hat tricks, which would be a fight, a goal, and an assist, and it just didn't happen. Now, Maurice Richard, that's another story. Fleming starts the rush the other way for Chicago. Over to Sloan. Sloan with a shot. Sawchuk will cover it up. 11:20 to go in the second. 2-1 in favor of the Wings. Yes, and someone, Brent asked earlier about the winning percentage of the teams that we're honoring, and it's abysmal. It's absolutely abysmal. I am so bad at this. No changes. Oliver McDonald and Johnson on the ice for the Wings. They try to draw it forward to the Hawks, won by Detroit. McDonald the other way, over the line to Godfrey. Johnson with a shot, blocked by Fleming, only to McDonald. McDonald skates it out for Chicago. To Fleming, to Balfour. Murray Balfour shoots. Sawchuk saw that one all the way, and we got a face-off to the left of Terry Sawchuk. Face-off's pretty much dead even. Scotty, how are you? So London Mikita on the face-off, won by Chicago. McDonald behind the net. Cross ice to Mikita. Mikita with a drive. Sawchuk kicks it out to Goagan. Detroit will change up. Bobby Holt comes on the ice. He had that long shift earlier. Here come the Wings the other way. Pronovost. Can he get over the line? No, he lost it at center. Palat, he'll lose it at center. Both teams fighting for the puck. 9:49 to go. Lund's got it. They put fresh skaters to Detroit. Dumps it around for Bobby Holt. Chicago will change up. Murphy. Ron Murphy. They try and penetrate on Pronovost, but Marcel takes it away. Detroit to change up. 9:09 to go. The penalty box is finally empty. 18 shots aside for both teams. Wings put fresh skaters on. Ullman to Delvecchio. Gordie Howe is trying to screen Glenn Hall, and Delvecchio has it. Oh, a great deflected out of play. I don't know how. Oh, Hall got a paddle on it and makes a great save. Imagine playing 8 straight years. His save percentage was .920. Hockey, I would say, is my weakest sport. Who we putting on the ice? It'll be Nestorenko, Murphy, and Wareham, St. Laurent, and Evans. Oliver, Johnson, McDonald, Pronovost, and Goagan. Wareham and Oliver on the face-off, won by the Wings. McDonald to Oliver. He winds and fires. All sorts of traffic in front of the net. Hall with a good save to Murphy. And the Hawks skated out. Can they set anything up, though, in the Detroit zone? Nestorenko does. Doesn't like what he sees. They'll cycle it around to Nestorenko again. Nestorenko in front of the net. Takes the mid-range shot. In traffic, that is blocked by Johnson. To center, Murphy's got it. Chicago brings it back in. Cross ice to Wareham. Can he shoots? Nestorenko was right there to deflect it, but Sawchuk got the glove up, and with 7:40 to go, makes the save. So Ullman, Delvecchio, and Howe out there with Sloan, Balfour, and McDonald. My settings, I think, are 1 and 1 for the text. Puck speed at mid-range, 15. And the pause after is on the shorter side. So those are my graphics and sound settings. It'll be a fresh lineup for Chicago. McDonald, Sloan, and Balfour. I've only been on the ice about 7 minutes. Alcorn, London, Glover for the Wings. Sloan and London the face-off. Won by Chicago. Balfour behind the net. Going to go to St. Laurent. Throws it, blocked by Lund. Aldecorn has it for Detroit. Hawks change up. Godfrey for the Wings. Over the line to Lund. Lund with a shot. Hall somehow screened, was able to see it, and we'll get a face-off. 2019 shots in favor of the Wings. 7:02 to go in the second period. Litzenberger and Melnick on the face-off to the right of Hall. Melnick tried to feed it, couldn't get it. Evans starts the rush the other way. Litzenberger over the line. Litzenberger behind the net. Who's tired? Oh, Evans. Tries to feed Fleming. Fleming will take the shot. Reggie Fleming pressured Sawchuk with a good save, and we got to face it. Yes, I'll make the change in a second. 6:21 to go. So top line on for Chicago. Hull, Hay, and Mikita. With Palat and Vasco, it'll be top line for Detroit offensively with Ullman, Delvecchio, and Howe. Pronovost has played 20 minutes tonight and about halfway through the game. Hay and Delvecchio on the face-off as Ullman is removed. Delvecchio loses it at center. Mikita to Hay. They will skate it over. Kicks it back to Palat. Back over to Billy Hay. A shot. Sawchuk with a rebound. Kicks it over to Delvecchio. Red Wings will change. Delvecchio starts it the other way. Delvecchio over the line to Ullman. Ullman's got one of the two Detroit goals tonight. He'll shoot as soon as I can find the button. There we go. Hall saw that one coming and saves it. 5:33 to go. Awarum and Ullman on the face-off to the right of Glenn Hall, who has made 19 of 21 saves tonight. Terry Sawchuk has stopped 20 of 21 the other way. Ullman and Wareham on the face-off, won by Detroit. Ullman loses it to Wareham. Kenny Wareham kicks it back over to Nestorenko. Nestorenko to Wareham. Wareham behind the net. Passes it out to Vasco with a shot. Sawchuk with a good save. Rebound controlled by Detroit. Godfrey plays his ukulele. Hawks change up. Pronovost to center. McDonald's got it for the Hawks. 4:29 to go. McDonald over the line. He'll lose the puck. The ice says it's a 10, but there's been a lot of interceptions and lost pucks. Young for the Red Wings. Over to Oliver. Oliver starts it over to Johnson. Johnson sees an opening. He shoots and scores. Alan Johnson saw the opening over Hall's shoulder. Got a good pass from Warren Godfrey and Murray Oliver. And with 3:44 to go in the second period, the Red Wings take a 3-1 lead. Thanks for the jinx there, Brent. So Fleming and St. Laurent, the defensemen. Hay, Hull, and Mikita, the forwards. Top line on for the Wings. Ullman at center, Delvecchio and Howe on the wings. Pronovost and Goegan, the defenders. Face-off won by Chicago. They dump it in, but it will be... They get called for an ice. Pronovost has got the puck. Nope, Delvecchio. They change up. Aldecorn takes it over the line, loses the puck. Here come the Hawks the other way. Fleming to Hay. Hay with a shot. Sawchuk with a good save. Detroit clears it to center. 2:51 to go in the second period. Fleming over the line and Godfrey steals it. Detroit will change. Godfrey has it. 2:35 to go in the second. Lund over the line, but he's offside. And so, with 2:15 to go, a face-off coming. The Hawks finally out shooting the Wings now, 23-22. Back in the 80s, they had an old-timers league that used to play games on CHCH 11 in Hamilton. Oh, really? That's cool. And in one game, Reggie Fleming started to fight with Ted Lindsay. After the game, they went to the beer store. They shared a 4x6 of Labatt 50 and a couple packs of players, right? Wareham and Ullman on the face-off. Just in front of the Chicago zone. Controlled by the Hawks. Wareham skates it in behind the net. Going to try and feed Reggie Fleming. He loses control. Here comes Detroit the other way. Ullman sets up the rush. Kicks it over to Del Vecchio. Loses the puck. Chicago's got it at center. $1:33 to go. Fresh skaters for the Hawks, but they'll lose it at center. In a center ice battle. Johnson's got it. For Detroit, over to Pronovost. Poked away by Pierre Palat. Vasco to Palat. Last minute of the second period. Now Vasco. Again, he can't handle it. Johnson. Johnson for Detroit. Tries to pass, but it skips over a stick. 23 seconds to go. Murray Balfour tries to skate it into it. 15 seconds to go. Vasco to Murray Balfour. Balfour trying to penetrate. Gets through. With Godfrey hanging on him, Balfour shoots. And he missed it completely to the right. Oh, he had an opening. Sawchuk had moved the wrong way, but he completely missed the net. After 40 minutes, it's the Red Wings 3, the Blackhawks 1. So, second period, scoring 3 goals. Wareham at 3:28. Kenny got one in from Palat and Hull to make it a 1-1 game, and then just 17 seconds later, Marcel Pronovost from Gordie Howe's got 2 assists in this one, made it 2-1. Detroit, and then Johnson at 16-16 from Godfrey and Oliver made it 3-1 Red Wings. Shots of the period 15-10 in favor of the Hawks. Faceoffs 2019 in favor of the Hawks. Power plays tonight. Detroit 1 for 2. Chicago 0 for 2. And again, making my reputation for doing tribute games and having the person being tributed lose. Both players had a reputation for not liking the opposition. Mark's playing the Rangers at the Kings. Rangers up 4-0 early in the second. Might be time to send the rest. That is true. No between period interviews. All right, well, we're waiting for Bobby Hull to come to the camera. Bobby said he would talk to us after the period here, and Bobby's not here. I do see some hair, but I don't see that it's attached to in a towel. But I don't see it attached to anything, and just a reminder that if you're watching in the Chicagoland area, that the hair's not talking. That you are not supposed to be watching this because it's a Blackhawks home game. Just a reminder of that. 4-1 for the Rangers, and Mark's replay. Victor Hatfield with a hat trick in that one, and Ted didn't like some of his players. I would think that if you were an enforcer in hockey, you're just not going to like anybody. Well, let's put some skaters out here. Bobby's on the ice. I've got his hair. Yeah, the Blackhawks were all... That might be Dennis. So Ullman and Hay on the face-off. 20 minutes to go in this one. Face-off controlled by the Wings. Ullman gives it again. A lot of giveaways here. Bobby Hull, after I've embarrassed him, gives it away. Ullman kicks it back to Pronovost. Marcel is high-sticked, or Gordie Howe gets high-sticked by Pierre Palat. And the Red Wings are going to go on the power play for the third time tonight. Old Bill Wirtz. They were doing that well into the 90s, too. It wasn't like it was just the games on WGN. Balfour, Sloan, Evans, and Fleming out there for the Hawks. McDonald, Oliver, Glover, the forwards, Godfrey, and Odorowski out there for the Wings. Dennis is a very funny guy. I knew Bobby wore the wig, which is why I did the joke. They actually started doing wig commercials in the 70s, and Dennis was actually in one of those. Well, good for him. Not only do I not use Hair Club for Men, I'm not the president, and I'm not a client. McDonald and Sloan on the face-off. Palat in the box for 2 minutes. 3-1 Red Wings. Face-off won by Chicago, but they lose it. McDonald over Odorowski. A lot of room on the ice. Did the hair foul out? Did Hall fall out? No, Hall's doing great. Odorowski to Hall, and Glenn will make the save. He's made 20 of his 20, saved 20 of 23. And Dave watching from the rink. Can you imagine playing every game for nearly 8 years? Just remarkable. Sloan and Ullman on the face-off. 18:32 to go in the hockey game. 3-1 Detroit, and Chicago wins it. They clear it all the way down. Go Egan. Sets up the rush for the Wings. Ullman over the line to Howe. Gordie's got 2 assists tonight. His shot is wide. Ullman to Howe, and Howe will lose it. Hawks will clear it, but not out. Howe tried to find Johnson, couldn't do it, and the power play is over. So good kill. Howe, with even strength, shoots, misses that one as Glenn Hall deflects it out of play. Yes, I know we have tired skaters. As soon as the Toronto Rock stopped winning titles, they took their games off TV. Imagine if they did it to the Leafs. Well, maybe the CBC would realize that there are other teams besides Toronto to put on every Saturday night. Maury's wigs, they never fall off. Are you serious? Was that their thing? Hull, Hay, and Makita out there versus Lund, Corn, and Glover. Face off to the right of Glenn Hall. Won by the Wings. Glover tries to sneak it in under the pad. That hit Hay. Somehow Hay got control. He blocked the shot. Poor Maury just wanted to get some Danish. Yep. Try not to think, Mark, of the NHL and sense in the 70s. A skates it or ices the puck, and that will be a whistle, and we'll do it again. 16:21. Can't change up. Oliver, McDonald, and Johnson for the Wings. Hay, Hull, and Makita for the Hawks. Makita on the face-off against Oliver. Won by Makita. Can the Hawks do anything with it? Bobby Hull with Makita in front of the net. but Sawchuck saw it. And so the face-off will be to the left to Terry, Mikita, and Ullman again. 24 aside. The shots, Mikita and Ullman on the face-off. Won by Detroit. Godfrey comes across offside. So a face-off in front of the Blackhawks zone. Warm and Ullman on the face-off. Top line on. Warm has Chicago's goal. Ullman and Pronovost have 2 of the 3 goals for Detroit. Controlled by the Red Wings. Howe dumps it around. They play dump and chase. Palat starts the rush the other way, except for he ices the puck. But they don't whistle for it. What was I wonder what the icing rule was. Greg watched Goodfellas in a hotel room in Detroit when he went to a game with the Joe. Ullman over the line. They change it, and they'd lose the puck. Vasco to Wareham, over to Palat. Nestorenko's got it. Nestorenko behind the net. He's got Murphy open. Murphy, through traffic, misses wide left. Nestorenko, they can't hold the zone. They'll reset it back up. It'll be Vasco to Nestorenko, who will shoot, and he misses that one wide right. They're not even putting it on the net. Hawks will change. Godfrey ices it down the other way, and a face-off to the left to Terry Sawchuck with 13:43 to go. Sloan and Oliver will take it. Murray Balfour and McDonald against Oliver, Johnson, and McDonald. Johnson is the 3rd goal for Detroit. Sloan trying to win this one against Oliver. Face-off won by Murray Balfour. Balfour. He's got McDonald open. Can he find him? Yes, he can. McDonald goes low. Sawchuck throws it. Good save by Terry Sawchuck. So we'll do it again. 13:29 to go. Andy says your daughter at Goodfellas on 2 VHS. Only watch the first 2/3. You remember in the early days of YouTube, you could only do a video that was 10 minutes long. And so people who would post movies would have to do a playlist of chunks of 10 minutes aside. Sloan and Oliver on the face-off. This time to the right of Terry Sawchuck. Face-off won by McDonald of Chicago. Murray Balfour is right there. Cross-ice pass. Balfour. Wrister. Oh, good save by Sawchuck. Got a paddle on it, and Detroit clears it out. Johnson the other way. Gives it away. And Chicago will change up. Dollard St. Laurent skates it over the line. Passes to Evans. Evans blocked by Goagan. Controlled by Detroit. They come back the other way. Oliver with a shot in traffic. That misses wide. Earl Oliver's got it for Chicago. They threaten the other way. Litzenberger, a long slapper that Sawchuck saw all the way and made the glove save. 11:43 to go. Chicago puts Hay against Ullman on the ice. Vasco and Palat for Chicago on defense. Pronovost has played 29 minutes for Detroit. Dennis Hall used to come to the Conn Smythe celebrity dinners all the time. Oh, I bet those were fun. When he went up to speak one time, someone yelled, "Where's your hair?" And he replied that Bobby had it tonight. And they're watching hockey down in Texas tonight. How you doing, Curtis? Hey, and Ullman on the face-off with the left of Sawchuck. Won by, Detroit, but they lose it at center. Let's see what Chicago can do. Mikita. But Palat and Young exchange some greetings. And, oh, my goodness. Oh, now Young and Mikita are going at it. Oh, it's cats and dogs and everything here. So Kerry Frazier whips out the comb, confers with Billy McCreary, and so here we go. It's going to be Howie Young gets 10 for fighting. Makita gets a 5 in a game misconduct. So, and Pierre Palat gets 5 and a 10-minute misconduct. Oh, my word. So it'll be 4 on 3. You know, the weird thing about doing older seasons like this is I'm completely flummoxed by the rules here. And Nestorenko out there with Evans and Reggie Fleming. For the Wings, McDonald and Glover with Goagan and Godfrey. 3-1 Wings, 11:01 to go. Face-off won by the Hawks. Nestorenko shoots. Godfrey deflects it to McDonald. I believe we're having a 5-minute power play, right? Oh, Curtis grew up in Michigan but left in 1984 before Scotty Bowman turned the Wings around. Okay. McDonald to Glover. Back to McDonald. McDonald tries a wraparound on Hall, and it misses that he hit the crossbar. Goagan with a shot, and that's a goal. So Parker McDonald gets his first of the year from Pete Goagan and Howie Glover. And yep, it wouldn't be a Ron tribute game without the person being honored getting sloshed. Sounds like we should be doing tribute dinners. It's 4-1 Detroit. Sloan out there with St. Laurent and Vasco. Glover and Melnick now for Detroit with Pronovost and Odorowski. 4 on 3, I think, for the next 3:58. Sloan clears it. Melnick starts the rush. Melnick to Odorowski to Glover with a slapper. Hall with a kick save and a Butte. Glover has it. Glover tries again. Hall kicks it. Vasco with a block. Back to Pronovost. 3:05 to go in the major. He shoots. That's wide. There is no other goalie, by the way, dressed for Chicago. It's Hall no matter what. Glover shoots. Hall with a good save. Glover, Melnick with St. Laurent trying to pick it off. Rebound blocked by St. Laurent, and they clear it out. Only to center. Glover gets it back in. Glover, wraparound shot. Hall with the save. Knocked away by Vasco, but only to Melnick. Melnick trying another wraparound. 5th shot of the power play. Hall just clutches his chest. And we'll have a face-off with 7:53 to go. 1:52 in the fighting major. Nestorenko, Evans, and Fleming come on. The Wings won the Cup in '97 with Bob Johnson. No, that was Scotty, wasn't it? Scotty did the Penguins. Won a cup with the Penguins, filling in for somebody that. But you're the Wings fan, so Oliver and Nestorenko on the face-off. Won by Detroit. Gordie Howe. Rister, as soon as I hit the button. Hall with the save. Back to Howe behind the net. Stolen by Evans. Can they clear? Only to center. Howe skates it back in. Gordie. Cross ice to Murray Oliver. Deflected by Fleming to Evans. Can Chicago clear? 54 in the fighting major, and they do. Bob Johnson was Pittsburgh. I thought so. And yep. And Scotty took over, right? Howe to Oliver. 6 seconds to go in the major. Oliver with a good chance. Hall, as soon as I hit it, makes the save. And I believe now we're 4-on-4. So Palat will now serve as 10-minute misconduct. That's right, we don't have Makita. So it'll be Brett Hull and Kenny Wareham with Delars, St. Laurent, and Moose Vasco out there versus Delvecchio and Howe with Pronovost and Overoski. The second, okay. When I started watching hockey, Scotty Bowman was the coach of the Buffalo Sabres. Delvecchio and Wareham on the face-off, won by the Hawks. Wareham to Bobby Hull. One-timer. Oh, that missed wide. Osachuk got a piece of it with his paddle, and it goes out. 5:40 to go. Johnson only played Paul Coffey on the power play? Okay. It'll be Wareham and Delvecchio on the face-off, won by the wings. Delvecchio skates it over the line, loses the puck to Bobby Hull. 5:25 to go. Hull over to Vasco to Wareham. Kenny Wareham fires point blank at Sawchuk. Terry makes the save. They can't clear the zone. Hull sets it up and misplays it. 5:08 to go. Odorowski to Gordie Howe. Howe behind the net. Over to Delvecchio. And Hall hung on. 4:10 to go. This is not how I wanted this to go. 32-29 shots in favor of Detroit. Delvecchio and Wareham on the face-off again, won by the Hawks. Vasco to Bobby Hull. Hull, with a slight curve on his stick, takes the slapper, and Sawchuk saw that one all the way. So Balfour and Nestorenko out there. With Fleming and Evans. Delvecchio and Howe on the face forwards for the wings. 4-on-4 for the rest of this one. Nestorenko and Delvecchio on the face-off, won by Detroit. Odorowski loses the puck to Fleming. Chicago needs to be aggressive. Things are getting tense out there. Earl Balfour behind the net passes it out to Reggie Fleming, loses an edge. Detroit the other way. It'll be Pronovost. Marcel loses the puck, 2:37 to go. Nestorenko, they try to set something up to maybe pull a goalie. Earl Balfour. He shoots through traffic, and Sawchuk makes the save. 2:15 to go. Face off in the Red Wing zone, won by Detroit. Pronovost is offside. 1:45 to go. 44 seconds in the penalty to Young. And Chicago will take the timeout that they didn't have in 1960. So Hull, Nestorenko, St. Laurent, and Evans. Gordie Howe has played 29 minutes tonight. Pronovost has played 36. They only had the one goalie dressed the entire year. I went to look. No Dennis to Jordy then. Darren Pang. Face off one by the wings. Pronovost loses the puck. It'll be the Hawks. It'll be Evans. $1:37 to go. They lose the puck. How? Sloppy game for a team that's going to win the Stanley Cup in real life. Nestorenko's got it behind the net. Cross-ice pass outside to Bobby Hull. Stolen by Young, who's out of the box. Detroit now has a power play with 38 seconds to go. Pronovost. Dodorowski. Shot. Misses everything. Gordie Howe's got it behind the net. Howe, wraparound shot, saved by Hall. 2 seconds to go. I think even I'm bigger than Panger, and I'm 5'2". So the face-off and the game is over. Wow. Yep. So thanks to whoever suggested I do this, and my apologies. 11-8 the shots in the third period for the Wings. So let's take a look at the box score here. Third period scoring, just the one goal. McDonald from Goagan, I hope I'm saying that, and Glover. Shots 11-8 in the third period. Detroit outshot Chicago 33-31. Face-off wins 30-29 in favor of the Wings. All 3 stars are Wings. No, it's Glenn Hall. So Hall, 29 saves, 33 shots, a save percentage of .879, and will take the loss. He played the full game. And there you have it. And so thank you so much. And I think when I hear myself do hockey, you know the voice I hear in my head is Bill Hewitt, which is weird. Anyway, you can't lose. He played for both teams, but that's the final from here. Detroit 4, Chicago 1. We'll be with you Monday for baseball. Thank you so much for watching. We'll talk to you the next time. Good night, everybody.